Welcome to another podcast of the Riffle series. The Riffle, a podcast series brought to you by 10 Leaves. So, how do you actually measure trust, especially in high finance? When a regulator has to decide if someone is, fit to hold a really powerful role, what are they looking at?
Is it just a background check? A quick look for a criminal record?
Or does it go deeper? That's what we're going to unpack. We are doing a deep dive into this really detailed policy statement from the Dubai Financial Services Authority, the DFSA.
It's dated December 15th, 2025, and it lays out the exact criteria for assessing what they call fitness and propriety, or F&P.
And our mission here is to walk you through this because it shows the sheer breadth of scrutiny. This is not, and I mean not, just a tick box exercise.
No, absolutely not. This shows how deep a regulator will dig into someone's professional life and, maybe more surprisingly, their personal life too.
What's really fascinating to me right from the start is the whole approach they take.
It's holistic. They say they consider each application in the round. That's their term for it.
In the round. So they're looking at the whole picture.
Exactly. It's case by case. They're very clear that, one single issue isn't an automatic rejection as long as it's been disclosed and explained.
Okay, but there's a foundation to all this.
A very strong one. It all rests on three incredibly robust pillars. And the first one, Pillar 1, is integrity.
And just looking at the document, this section is by far the longest. That tells you how much weight it carries.
It really does. And this is where it gets interesting for anyone trying to get inside the regulatory mindset. The DFSA isn't just looking for convictions.
Right. They do say minor road traffic offenses don't count, which is a relief.
Yeah. But they're focused on something they call the propriety of conduct.
That phrase, propriety of conduct, sounds broad.
It is. It means they're looking at your behavior, even if it never led to a criminal charge or lawsuit or anything formal. They're assessing your character.
So that raises a huge question about their scope. I mean, how broad is it, really?
Incredibly broad. They look for disciplinary actions from almost any relevant body you can think of. A government agency, a local financial regulator, what's often called an FSR, or even a professional body.
So if your accounting license was suspended for a month 10 years ago,
they want to know about it. They look for any contravention of financial services rules, regulations, codes of practice. No. It doesn't matter if it was from the DFSA or just some industry trade group.
It's a full professional history then.
It is.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just breaking rules. They check if you've ever been refused the right to carry on a licensed trade, or if you've been dismissed, or even just, requested to resign from a job.
Ah, the classic, requested to resign. So they're connecting a messy exit from a previous job directly to your fitness for a future one.
Correctly. But it doesn't even stop there, your own performance. It extends to the companies you were involved with.
What do you mean?
A really crucial detail here is if you've been involved in the management of a company that's under investigation.
For misconduct or malpractice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might not have been the target of that investigation yourself, but simply being in management at that company. Your proximity to it.
Yeah.
That becomes a factor in your own fitness assessment.
Wow. That is a big deal. It's almost guilt by association.
It shows how seriously they take institutional accountability. And then there's the more direct financial side of integrity. They look for any adverse findings against you in civil court.
Things like fraud, obviously.
Fraud, yeah, or something called misfeasance, which is basically just a wrongful use of lawful authority or other misconduct.
But there's a really granular detail in here, a specific number that jumped out at me.
The $10,000.
Yeah. An adverse finding or even a settlement in a civil case that results in an award against you for more than $10,000 US.
Or a few smaller awards that add up to more than $10,000.
Why that number? I mean, in the world of high finance, $10,000 can seem like a rounding error.
It's a fair question. But I don't think they're focused on the size of the financial loss itself. They're focused on the judgment that led to that court finding. It's a clear, bright line test. It says, okay, your judgment led to a court ordering you to pay, or you agreed to pay to settle a claim. That signals a problem to them.
A trigger for regulatory concern.
Precisely. They also, of course, look at your history as a director. Have you ever been disqualified by a court or regulator from managing a company? That's a huge red flag.
And they seem to connect you very strongly to business failures.
Very strongly. They check if you were involved with a company that went into liquidation or administration while you were there, or, and this is key, within 1 year after you left.
Yeah, that 1 year look back.
Same thing applies to partnerships where a partner went bankrupt. That 1 year window is critical.
It seems designed to stop executives from seeing the writing on the wall, jumping ship 6 months before the collapse, and then claiming they had nothing to do with it.
That's exactly what it's for. The policy doesn't really care why you left. It just cares that you were connected to that failure within that window. It's a very risk-averse position. They're weeding out anyone associated with a recent collapse.
Okay, so after all of that, what's the final test for integrity?
The ultimate test is you. It's about your direct dealings with the DFSA. Have you been candid and truthful? That, plus making sure you're not on any sanctions list from the UAE, the UN, wherever, that completes the integrity picture.
Exhaustive.
It really is. And that's just pillar one.
Right. So let's move on. We go from character to capability with pillar 2, competence and capability. This seems a bit more straightforward.
It is, in a way. It's about whether you can actually do the job. But again, it's broader than you might think. It's not just about having a degree or a qualification.
So what are they looking for?
Two main things, according to the policy. First, do you have sufficient time, capacity, knowledge, and resources to do the job properly?
The time and capacity part is interesting. It addresses that real-world issue of executive bandwidth, right? You might be brilliant, but if you're on 7 different boards...
Your capacity is impaired.
Yeah.
Exactly. The regulator is trying to prevent what's called name lending, where a big name takes a role on paper but does none of the actual work.
Or just simple overcommitment. The time you have is regulated just as much as the knowledge you have.
And the second part is about your track record. Have you been the subject of a formal complaint related to a financial service that specifically questions your competence?
So they're looking for documented proof of past failures, not just theory, but practice.
Demonstrated inability. That's what they're checking for.
Okay, which brings us to the final pillar, pillar 3, financial soundness. This is where the regulator gets really personal.
Deep into your private financial life, yes.
You have to wonder, why do they care so much about your personal credit card debt or, your mortgage payments?
Because they're drawing a direct line from how you manage your own finances to how trustworthy you are with other people's money. The logic is simple. If you can't manage your own affairs, how can we trust you to manage a multi-billion-dollar fund?
And they have very clear metrics here, too.
Very. They assess if there are, and I quote, material indications that the individual has a poor credit record.
And what counts as a material indication?
We're talking about major events. Have you ever been declared bankrupt? Had a receiver or administrator appointed over your assets? Had your estate sequestrated?
So for anyone who doesn't read insolvency law for fun, that means...
It means fundamental financial failure. Being officially declared bankrupt, having a court take over your assets to pay off debts, any process that takes control of your finances away from you.
That makes sense. But what else?
They also look at something called a deed of arrangement, which is basically a formal contract you make with your creditors when you fail to pay your debts.
So it's a formal admission that you couldn't meet your obligations.
And a massive red flag for a regulator. But the detail here that's just stunning is the look-back period.
Go on.
They use a 10-year look-back, a full decade.
10 years?
Yeah.
For what, specifically?
For failing to satisfy a judgment debt under a court order. And it doesn't matter if that court was in the UAE or anywhere else in the world.
A 10-year shadow. That's an incredibly long time. So even if you've completely recovered financially, a major court-ordered debt failure from 9 years ago could still sink your application today.
It could. It shows a very, very conservative view on financial responsibility. Recovery isn't enough. The history of that failure is tracked globally for a decade.
So let's just try to summarize this. We have the 3 pillars: integrity, competence, and financial soundness. But this whole policy is really a blueprint for a complete character assessment.
It is. A character assassination or affirmation, depending on how you look at it.
And this deep dive really shows that the expectation for these roles isn't just professional excellence. It's total personal accountability.
Across the board, yeah. From your old employment records to a $10,000 civil claim to your credit history from a decade ago.
The big takeaway for me is that regulators see these roles as requiring this unique, elevated level of trust.
They do.
Yeah.
And they're using your personal stability, your candor, your financial management as a direct proxy for professional risk. They need to know that the person in that chair has the moral and financial stability to withstand pressure. It's the totality of the person they're assessing.
Not just the resume.
Not at all.
Okay, so that leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to chew on. Given that really specific focus on the connection to failed firms, that 1-year window after you leave, if a company is clearly in trouble and the executives know this 1-year scrutiny clock is about to start ticking the second they walk out the door, How does that policy change their behavior? Does it influence not just when they resign, but how much pressure they feel to disclose everything to the regulator before they jump ship?
It makes that last year, or that decision to leave, an incredibly tight, ethically fraught deadline, doesn't it?